South Dakota Republican Congressman Dusty Johnson joins us now. Congressman, great to see you. Thanks for joining us. You know and I know that the Speaker is technically correct, that Medicaid isn't in the budget resolution, but the instructions are there. Many of your colleagues are nervous about the implications for future Medicaid funding. Do you share their concerns?
Major, we can get to $880 billion of cuts within the jurisdiction of Energy and Commerce without cutting Medicare services, Medicaid services that people are receiving today. That can absolutely be done.
How do you do that?
Telling you otherwise, well, I'm going to give you an example from SNAP. That's the welfare program I know better. But all of the same lessons can be the same in Medicaid. So, for instance, I have a bill I introduced yesterday to strengthen the work requirements around able-bodied young people who are receiving food stamps or SNAP. Now, this is not pregnant mothers. These are not seniors. These are not folks with disabilities. These are just people, people who can work and who choose not to. You can save $100 billion a year on SNAP just by having better work requirements for the able-bodied. The same can be true in Medicaid. One more example from SNAP. You've got states that have used ridiculous loopholes to exempt their entire state from the work requirements in SNAP. Closing those loopholes can save you $50 billion. And so you absolutely can start to build cost savings on integrity and on making sure that the wrong people don't get benefits. We absolutely need to have Medicaid. It's an incredibly powerful program. It should be focused on America's most needy.
Congressman, I was sent a couple of notes today by the National Rural Health Association. They've been up on Capitol Hill. I may be talking to you, but certainly talking to other of your colleagues. And they said to me that in South Dakota, 50% of the rural hospitals there are financially stressed. They're facing workforce shortages, and they're uncertain about federal grants continuing under the Trump administration or this budget resolution. Are you saying that none of their concerns are valid?
What I'm saying is that right now, all we're doing with this vote this week is to unlock the budget, the reconciliation process. The resolution in and of itself doesn't do anything. In and of itself, it doesn't cut a dollar. All it does is the kickoff for the 4 quarters of the football game to come. And listen, of course, they need to be their own advocates. Rural hospitals are incredibly important, and we want to make sure in the final reconciliation work product that we are not closing rural hospitals. This vote today does not affect rural hospitals directly at all.
What is your sense right now, this evening, as we speak a little bit after 5 p.m. Eastern, on where the votes are and if it will actually pass this evening?
We're making progress, but it is admittedly progress at a pretty slow pace. I've never been able to find 219 people to agree on anything. And, of course, that's the situation we're in. We got to have 218 out of 219. And it's going to be difficult. I'm not going to lie to you. But I don't think failure is an option. And I think most members who are coming around to our side understand that we are $2 trillion upside down every single year. And there will be people who can tell you that, oh, if Republicans just raised taxes on the rich, we could solve the problem. The reality is that Joe Biden's billionaire's tax would only generate $50 billion a year, and we are $2,000 billion a year upside down. There are people who want these cuts to come only from discretionary spending. You know as well as I do that you could literally zero out non-defense discretionary spending, and you wouldn't even cut the deficit annually in half. And so I get it. There are people who are uncomfortable anytime brave men and women step up and want to make bold decisions to put us on the right path. The reality is that bankruptcy, insolvency beckons. And it is time for the big boys and the big girls to step up and vote yes tonight or tomorrow or whenever that gosh darn thing is on the floor.
Whenever that gosh darn thing is on the floor. That's been said many times in the House of Representatives. Speaking of the bravery that you just mentioned, President Trump has been pretty clear about Medicare. He doesn't want to touch Medicare, yet there has been extensive reporting, really excellent reporting from the Wall Street Journal about Medicare Advantage, overcharging, doctors, hospitals manipulating the system, lots of discernible fraud built into that system. Why not go after that also?
Sometimes when people say, whether it's the president or whether it's a Republican member, when they say, we're not going to touch Medicare, What they mean is we're not going to touch the Medicare benefits. We're not going to touch, or same thing with Social Security. Of course, we can't do Social Security and reconciliation.
Right,
but if somebody says we're not going to touch Social Security, what they mean is the actual benefit received by the senior. We should absolutely be willing to look at waste, fraud, and abuse. If there are hospitals or providers who are engaging in bad behavior, we should hold them accountable. That's an integrity measure, not a benefit cut. And I would be hopeful that whether it's Medicare or Medicaid or anything else, we would look for waste, fraud, and abuse, root it out, and end it.
Dusty Johnson, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.